Just like to confirm the pronunciation.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to 13 Now. I'm Mia Bel Salzano. Today is Friday, July 17th. We're just about a month out from our primary elections this summer on August 18th, and today we're talking with Jackson County Sheriff candidate Jeff Snell. Welcome.
Good morning, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for being here. So for those who may not know you, can you just start by introducing yourself, maybe talking a little bit about your background and your career?
Yeah, my name is Jeff Snell. I am a lifelong resident of Jackson County. I attended Graceville High School up in Graceville, Florida. Back in the late 80s, a graduate of there. I attended Chipola College. I went from there to Florida State University, pursued a graduate or a degree in criminology, and completed my studies at the University of West Florida. So I have a bachelor's degree in criminology. And I started my career with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office in 1991. And it's been a real interesting 20-some-odd years.
Great. So why did you decide to run for Sheriff's Office?
I really enjoy what I do. I like the work. I like the people aspect of it more than anything else. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy working with the community. And I enjoy helping people. And like I say, more than anything else, the people aspect of what I do is what drives me the most.
Is there anything you would like to see change about the structure of the department going in?
You know, I think that the backbone of any law enforcement agency would be your Uniform Patrol Division. They are the ones who hit the front lines every day. Those are your true first responders. They're the ones that bear the weight of a heavy call load. They're the ones in the front line of fire, and I think that anything that you can do in that regard to increase the number of people that you have working in that division, that would be something I would really like to work on and improve, and see if we can move forward in that direction.
So you'd kind of like to put more money towards hiring more?
Yeah, I would like to see, you know, we always, you always have a turnover in law enforcement. You know, people come and people go, just like any other industry. And we would like to do the best we could to make sure that we take the best care of the people that we're able to recruit, that we pay them as well as we can, and to increase the number of men we have working in that division. Sometimes you may have to reallocate from another unit or make some restructuring decisions in that regard, but I think, you know, that is the most important aspect of any law enforcement agency is that uniform division, and I think that is an area of great priority.
And do you think that there needs to be any changes to officer training?
You know, you never get enough training, and I think that you really have to focus on the right training. You know, training just for training's sake is not always the most productive thing to do, but I think you need to isolate the right types of training that you need. You need to constantly be looking into what's going on in your agency, where are your deficiencies. Do we need to work on our report writing skills? Do we need to work on our legal training, our search and seizure laws? You know, there's just numerous things that you could always look at, but you have to always be looking, and that way that you know that the training that you're giving these officers is the right training to help them do a better job for our community.
So what deficiencies have you seen in the Sheriff's Department?
We have a lot of young officers, and I was young when I started, and I'm sure I had my share of deficiencies in those days too. I think that mentoring those officers with older officers, we do have a field training program, and that's part of that program is to assign them to an older, more seasoned officer to get that. And I think that if you develop those guys in that aspect, you know, train them, teach them what you need them to know, that in the long run it pays off with both a quality officer and retention.
Okay. If the county or state issues a mask ordinance, will you enforce it, and how would you go about doing that?
Well, it depends on the ordinance.
So I guess if the county orders everyone to wear masks out in public and in schools, how would you make sure that that is going to happen?
You know, we've had that issue addressed recently. The county commission had some hearings on that. It was brought up, and they elected not to do that. I'm a firm believer in not overreaching into people's constitutional rights. The sheriff's job is to enforce the law. It's not his job to make it, but it is his job to enforce it. We would like to do the best job we could to enforce the law, but again, I would hope that the people that are making these laws use good judgment as it relates to the constitutional rights of the people that it affects.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on the new issuance about displaying information on sex offenders?
Yeah, the commissioners passed an ordinance last year in 2019 that required people who were sex offenders to stay, they could not reside 25, I believe the limit is 2,500 feet from a school, daycare, playground, churches, things of that nature. And then what you're referring to, where the decision was made to publish the information on people who were sex offenders, I think that the demographic that you're trying to protect, which is our children, there's not enough that you can do to look out for that population. I support it. I think it's a good thing.
Okay. I guess when you talk about intruding on constitutional rights, if those people have presumably served their sentence for the crime that they've committed, is it fair to continue to punish them?
You know, I've always felt like when you finish with your sentence, you're even with the house again. So, you know, if you've done what you've been told you have to do, you served your sentence, then as far as I'm concerned, you know, you're back to square one. However, as it relates to the question you just asked about the information, you know, that's something that is an element of criminality that so far nobody seems to have a cure for. And it is a demographic that has a very high rate of reoffending. So in that instance, I think we do need to monitor that and make sure that we're not subjecting our children to undue harm.
Okay, fair enough. And I took a look at your website, and I just kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about the issues I saw on your issues page. Regarding, I guess, jails.
Yes, ma'am.
Why do you want to take the jail back into sheriff's
I remember probably one of the few employees left at the sheriff's office that remembers when we did run the jail. There certainly is no intention to cut staff or a mass restructuring of the jail, but I do feel like that there are duplications of services by the division of the two, and that there are areas that could be better served. I also feel that there's some things that we could do with the jail that are not being done now. And that's not meant to be critical of the people that are running it now, but I think there are some things that we could do. I would like to see inmate work crews being able to go out, those that are able and qualified to meet those guidelines, that can go out and contribute back to the public, maybe through some work that helps pass their time. And I wouldn't want to be cooped up in a building all day. So, I mean, I think it's something that allows them to offset the cost of their incarceration and give back to the community. I would also like to see or implement a program in that jail to work towards helping some of these people that have drug addictions, that are willing and want to enter a program like that would maybe help them get off the drugs, and maybe they don't come back to jail. So, I mean, in my mind, the whole idea is to keep them out, not in. So if you can help them and prevent it, I think that's a good thing. And then the bed space, you know, bed space for treatment centers is always at a premium. And if you can institute a program, there are other sheriffs in other areas of the state that have done that, and you would like to report extremely high rates of success, but they're not. But there are rates of success, and any success is better than no success. So, I mean, I think if you continue to work in that direction, it's a positive thing. I also think that there's some job training measures that we can institute there that's been done. Other sheriffs have done that around the county. One over in Walton County has a really good program. And it gives these guys some job training through some local construction companies and things like that, and most of them, when they complete their sentence, they have a job. So there again, if you have a job, your chances of reoffending is not as great.
Mm-hmm. So how does that work program work, I guess? Can you
well, you have to qualify for it. So if you're serving time on a misdemeanor charge in the county jail, and your charge was such that it did not prohibit you from entering that program or being able to be used in a work release type status, where you could go outside of the facility. The county has used inmates for years through programs with the Road and Bridge Department, and doing custodial services in the county buildings and things of that nature, mowing the grass. You know, that program is used. But so you have to limit it to those inmates that are there for felony charges, pending cases, things of that nature. They wouldn't be, you know, eligible for that program. But you would have to determine the population that is eligible, and most of the time that's going to be your misdemeanor inmates serving misdemeanor sentences.
Okay. So will those people in that program, will they be compensated at all, or will all of that money that they are
well,
just go back into
the job training program? It's free education, so they're not actually performing necessarily work on a job site for a contractor, but they're receiving training from that contractor in the hopes that when they do get a release, then they have developed some skills that will help them be able to get a job with this contractor or another contractor that would make them employable. It would make them less likely to reoffend. So I think if you help a guy out, if you give him some skills, and maybe he can pick up a job, you know, if you got a way to make a living, maybe you not want to come back to jail so soon.
Got it. So it's a training program,
Yes,
not a work program.
No, it's a training program.
Okay. So how does that offset the cost of jails?
That particular program would not provide very much offset of cost. The programs, the work release programs would. The programs where you have inmates under the direction and supervision of correctional officers would go into the community. For instance, they can perform work on government property, nonprofit organizations such as churches, for instance, cemeteries. They can perform work there, help to keep those cleaned up. The Department of Corrections utilized that program for many, many years. They use them to offset the maintenance on the facility and to help the county not spend some money in some areas that they're having to contract out, because we have a workforce that would be willing to do that.
Okay, and would that be a volunteer?
Yeah, you can't make, I mean, you wouldn't, yeah, if you don't want to be out there, you know. But like I say, normally there's some trustee status assigned to those jobs, and you know, they may receive some time off their sentence. But at the end of the day, they're working rather than being warehoused. Mm-hmm. So you're not sitting in a building all day doing absolutely nothing, and you give a man a purpose. He's got some work to do, and you know, my daddy always said a man needs a reason to get up in the morning. So if you have a guy that has a purpose, or a girl, that they have something to do tomorrow when they get up, then, you know, it's a win-win.
Okay. And regarding immigration, I guess, how do you plan to do that?
Well, immigration laws are set by the federal government, not by the sheriff. But there have been the majority of the drugs that we see coming in now, you know, the days of the old homegrown meth labs are not as prevalent as they used to be. Most of these drugs come in from south of the border or other areas, and a lot of the people that are transporting those drugs into our areas are people who are illegal immigrants, and they come across the border, they peddle these products, and then they turn back the cash. Mm-hmm. So I think by working with the immigration services and not refusing to hold the inmates, you know, we've had a problem with that around the country, and the sanctuary cities aspects, that by working with the immigration to enforce those laws and help them to do that, I think that it does have an adverse effect on the people who are here illegally, that are bringing drugs into our communities.
So technically, I guess all undocumented persons are here illegally, so they're criminals, right?
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the people who come here illegally to transport drugs and to bring poison into our communities, those are the people that we target, that we would be targeting.
Okay. Okay. And yeah, I guess you kind of already answered this question on how you'll be handling or trying to address the issue of drugs in Jackson County, and I think you said sort of addressing it as an addiction problem.
Well, there's a multi-pronged approach there. Yeah, we want to help those that we can help. We also know that there are a lot of people out there that don't want any help, and before you can help those in the program in a jail setting, they do have to be caught. We need, in my opinion, to increase the number of personnel that we have in our drug task force. We need to reach out and work more with other task force in other areas. You know, working with other agencies is key to any crime-solving aspect, be it burglaries and robberies and homicides, or be it drugs. A criminal doesn't care about a boundary line. That's of no use to them. Matter of fact, they'll use it against you. So I think by increasing the staff, a well-trained staff, in a drug task force environment, and working with other agencies and their task force as a group, then I think that you're able to combat that problem. I also would like to use, from the patrol division aspect of it, I would like to increase patrols. I would like to create some units that actually go into areas where we're having high crime rates, high rates of burglary, and things of that nature, because normally the people who are offending are people who have substance abuse problems a lot of times. And if you're constantly patrolling those areas, if you're in the areas where there's problems, if you have a neighborhood where the houses are getting broke into, we need to be there. We need to be working those areas. We need to have a high profile. And I think that as well will help reduce those instances.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's all I have. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, that's it. I want to thank you for having me on, and I've enjoyed it very much.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, everyone. You can revisit this interview on mypanhandle.com's Meet the Candidates page under the Your Local Elections Headquarters tab. Hopefully you learned something new about Mr. Snell here. Next week, I'll be talking with all 5 of the opposing candidates running for Jackson County Sheriff, so make sure you're tuned in for that starting Monday at 2 p.m. But that's all for today. For 13 Now, I'm Mia Bel Salzano. See you Monday.